right, folks, for the Download Button Technology Geek podcast, number one podcast from the EMC Radio Network. Yes, you were right, the number one tech show on the EMC Radio Network. So, as always, you can get all of our shows at thetechnologygeek.org, and as well as you can find me on Twitter at KB3YUA and all other places where social media can be found. So, if you're listening to the show, you'll notice that I'm not yelling into the microphone, and that's because I am actually here in a nice little hotel room here in the New Jersey area on a project this week. So I'm recording this from my sanctity of my little hotel room here. So I'm actually in New Jersey right now. My family is originally from New Jersey. My mom actually is from the Clifton area. My dad, born in Queens, and moved to Passaic when he was a little older. I was born in Passaic, but my parents decided to move to Pennsylvania. So yeah, I am down here visiting my old stomping grounds here in New Jersey, and I'm recording this in the sanctity of my hotel room. So one of the things, folks, I'm down here on a project doing a server upgrade, a Mac server upgrade, and well, let me tell you one thing. Well, you know, when you get a hotel room down here in South Jersey this time of year, the off season, it's very, very cheap. But if the same hotel room in a couple months from now is going to be worth a pretty penny. So if you're going to go on vacation and you can afford, if you don't have any kids or anything like that, you might want to take them down probably in a few weeks from now, right around the time. Right before May, when the season opens, you can get things relatively cheap down here in South Jersey because it's the off season. But come a few weeks from now, things are going to start getting quite pricey down here. A couple months from now. So I am down here, and that's why I'm kind of whispering a little bit because I don't want to wake the people next door. Hello, everybody okay over there? So. Yeah, I'm also, like I said, so obviously, also as you've noticed, the show is pre-recorded this week. It's not live, for those of you that listen to it live, because I am just a tad bit busy, and with commuting back and forth, the traffic and all that. Last week there was no live show. I thought I'd be home in time for a live show, but I ended up, traffic on coming up from New Jersey was just insane, so there was no live show last week, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to give you, I figured I'd better drop some kind of podcast on you. And you guys have been getting spoiled the last couple of weeks because we've had Randy and Jesse on from Grolix, and those guys, we've been giving you like 2-hour podcasts, so you've been spoiled the last couple of weeks, but I figured I better go ahead and drop the podcast on you or something. And I know those guys are listening, and, swig a soda for the working man, guys, So that's a little joke. If you listen to last week's podcast, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So what I did, guys, this week, since it's a canned show, it's not live or anything like that. So I went ahead, and you guys are always tweeting me questions and stuff like that, and I always answer them the best I can. These hotel room chairs are just terrible. There's no way to adjust the chair to make myself level with the microphone here. So anyway, there's, like I said, those guys have been on with us the last couple weeks, and so what I did with the show this week, since we're not live, and since this is just a me kind of shooting a breeze with you guys show. I took all the questions you guys sent me. You guys sent me just tons, tweet me and email me tons of questions, and I love them, so keep them coming at my Twitter, KB3YUA, and I'm always willing to answer any type of tech question. But what I did, folks, to give you some kind of a semblance of a structured show this week, what I did was I took all those questions and put them together, and I thought I'd do kind of a question and answer kind of thing, kind of like an AMA on the TTG, the Technology Geek Podcast. You got a TTGP. So this is going to be kind of just a question and answer kind of thing, just kind of a me shooting a breeze with you guys. And I answer some of your questions you guys have. Some of them are tech related, some of them aren't. Some of them are related to my book. And by the way, folks, you can get my book, as you know, The Panagram Killer, Pangarm. I'll spell it for you guys out there, on Amazon. It's available on audiobook, paperback, and obviously digitally on Kindle and on Apple. So go get the book. I'm really proud of it. It's $9. It's $9.99, excuse me. And like I said, I'm really, really proud of it. And anyway that will get it, I greatly appreciate it. And if you do get it, let me know, that you read it and that you enjoyed it and all that. I really am very proud of it. I have about 40 to 50 pages into the second book. There'll be a sequel to this book, and it's a great experience. I'm really enjoying it. I'm doing a lot of book signings and a lot of other things. So It's a great experience, and I'm really enjoying doing it, and I really appreciate you guys letting me plug it every week on the podcast. And like I said, I know a lot of you guys have actually downloaded it and really enjoyed it. So thank you very much for that. Like I said, we're going to keep, like I said, have another one in the pipe coming relatively soon. So probably hoping by the end of the year. So we'll have another book coming out. But thank you guys very much, though. I know a lot of you guys have went ahead and actually bought the book. So thank you very much for that. Also, too, guys, if you notice, the show opener, I talked to Randy and Jesse about that a few times. I wanted to actually kind of do a new show opener. We've been using some other stuff that we've been using, but I actually did a little GarageBand editing, and got the new show opener up and running. So I'm really happy about that, too. So new opening to the show. But like I said, so new opening to the show. Again, plug in the book, Panagram Killer. A lot of stuff going on, but the book signings and all that, you can go to my website and check it out. Like I said, really proud of the book. Really enjoyed it. It's been a wonderful experience. It's been a new experience for me, something I've never experienced before being an author. So I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, please pick up a copy of the book. Show your support. Like if you don't mind, if you're a reader. If you're a listener, obviously, if you like listening to things, if you're listening to this podcast, you obviously enjoy listening to things. You can get it on, I think, for $6 on Audible. So like I said, I appreciate you guys supporting the show, and really, you guys buying the book really is, it's really supporting the show, because like I said, it's something I do, and it's something that I really appreciate, and I really do enjoy doing the podcast, and I never ask for money for doing the show, so I do appreciate it. So some of the questions I got here, I got a bunch of questions from you guys, but I guess I'll start off with the first question I have. Like I said, it's going to give you some sort of a structure here. The first question is, what Linux distro do you like? I'm mostly a Ubuntu guy. I like Debian quite a bit. I've used Debian quite a bit. I use CentOS a lot because that's what a lot of my customers have. I'm more of a Debian kind of guy, but and an Ubuntu guy. But I'll take my time, and I'll actually go ahead and use CentOS for servers and stuff. I think Cent might be the best server OS. It's obviously very similar to Red Hat, but I'll do Cent now and again. But like I said, I've played with Slackware a little bit, but I'm not really a huge fan of Slackware because I've used it, but I don't see a lot of support for it. I don't see many people that ask for it. I don't see anybody requesting SUSE. We do a lot of Linux work, and I don't see many people at all using SUSE anymore. I do a lot of FreeBSD work. I do a lot of that. And I do a lot of, I don't see much OpenBSD, but like I said, I do see a lot of FreeBSD. I do like FreeBSD quite a bit. Like I said, I like Ubuntu really as a desktop OS, to tell you the truth. I use it as a desktop for many years. Now, actually, I've gone with a Mac recently as my main PC. But like I said, I used Ubuntu as my main PC for years and years. I don't do much anymore, only because when you're in business, you have to be able to open documents and stuff like that. And sometimes, Ubuntu doesn't always play well with certain things. But I used it for a desktop for many years. Now I'm using a Mac full time, but I used it as my main desktop for many years when I didn't have to worry about compatibility and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I said, I would definitely say Ubuntu for your desktop, CentOS for your servers. If you got to go with a BSD version, I would definitely say go with FreeBSD. They're really, really good. I like those guys. Those are basically my choices as far as Linux and BSD OSs go. So the next question I got from somebody is kind of interesting. They asked me, what tech stocks would you buy? I almost hate to give out, say, oh, that's the tech stock you should buy, because I hate people to give people stock advice, because if you buy a stock and it tanks on them, you feel bad for it. So, but I will give you, I know recently I bought some Facebook stock only because I felt that Facebook has a really good business model. They've got a really good business plan. They've got a future. They know where they're going over the next 10 years. The next 5 years, at least they say 5 to 10 years. They know what they're doing. They bought Oculus. They bought Instagram. They're trying to buy Snapchat. So I think Facebook definitely has a good plan. Obviously, a safe bet is always going to be Google. Obviously, they're a safe bet. Or Alphabet, they're a safe bet. But Netflix, I think, is a safe bet, and they're not going to go anywhere. Amazon's a pretty safe bet as far as tech stocks. As far as stocks that I would stay away from, I definitely stay away from Groupon. I stay away from Zynga. I stay away from LinkedIn. I'm not really sure where LinkedIn's going right now. I'd stay away from SiriusXM. They're pretty much penny stock too. I try to stay with your Googles, your Facebooks, Twitter. Stay away from Twitter. They're actually not doing too well at all right now. So stay away from Twitter. Stay away from Yahoo. Like I said, I would say Amazon, Netflix, Facebook. Yeah, Amazon, Facebook, Netflix, Google, and, even Microsoft's a good bet right now. They've got a good business model. So, they're rebounding quite a bit. So those are the stocks I would say you should stick with right now. There's a lot of ones I'd stay away from. Just like I said, Groupon's definitely one I'd stay away from. Zynga, a lot of those I would stay away from. Your 5 big ones are going to be those. Those are your ones that I can almost guarantee are going to make money. Stay away from your Yahoos, stay away from your Twitters, all that. So those would be my 5 picks if I was going to invest. And like I said, I have picked up some Facebook stock recently. I picked up some Netflix stock when it was really, really low, like $60 a share, like 2-3 years ago. I picked up a lot of the stocks pretty cheap when they weren't doing too well, but you have to know when to buy. The key is you have to know when to buy, when to sell. And if you don't know, you should definitely get yourself a stockbroker. Don't just buy. I know a lot about stock, so I know what to buy. But if you're not familiar with it, I really suggest you get somebody else to do like a stockbroker or something like that. So the next question I have, which is kind of a cool question, somebody said, "Who are your favorite 3 authors?" Oh, geez. Well, if I have to list them in order, I would say definitely Conan Doyle would be at the top, the author of Sherlock Holmes. He'd definitely be at my top. He'd be one of my top ones. I would definitely say, Conan Doyle. Connolly would definitely be in my top 3. I love Connolly. I love the Bosch character. I love the Mickey Holler character. I would definitely say him. Third would probably be Stephen King. I've liked a lot of Stephen King books over the year. My only complaint about Stephen King is when you read his books, that's a major, major investment in time, but it's worth it too. So I would definitely say Conan Doyle with the Sherlock Holmes series. I would definitely put Connolly at the top of the list. I would definitely put, Stephen King at the top of the list. If I had to list a couple others, I would definitely say, just for pure respect, I would have to say you definitely got to put, if for series goes, authors that have published series, I would definitely say you have to put the Harry Potter lady at the top. I don't know her name, so I do apologize, but I would definitely say you have to put her at the top because those books were revolutionary for their time. You have to put definitely the Mockingbird series, Hunger Games author up there. There's so many authors you got to give respect to. Definitely the guy that did True Blood, the guy from Game of Thrones. All those guys you got to show off, not just because they got their shows made in, not just because the reason why I say you got to show respect to those guys is because they made series that were so compelling that they decided to make series out of them. And also too, you're looking at people that have sold millions and millions and millions of books. So I got to give respect to those guys. But my top 3 are definitely Conan Doyle, Connolly, and King. So the next question I have here, kind of interesting one. Somebody said, well, do you like Skype or Google Hangouts? And this was related to last couple weeks because we've been doing live call-ins. I like Google Hangouts. I really do. And me and those guys over at Grolix, grolixpodcast.com, those guys definitely do, we like Google Hangouts when we're doing a show because it's easy. It works well. It's reliable. Skype has, I think, better high-def video. I really think it does, personally. But I like Skype better for calling. And I'm going to tell you why. As great as Google Hangouts is, and I use Google Hangouts a lot for my guests. All my guests come in via Google Hangout. I don't really Skype anybody, and we always use Google Hangout. And it's the best for podcasting. It might be the best platform. And the funny part is too is what's in Leah Laporte from Twit, the lady that worked with him originally that helped him set up Skypezilla. She actually helped design Google Hangouts, and she's really an innovator. If you've never seen it, look up Twit and look up his whole section on Skypezilla. And the woman that does it, she's really a bright woman, excuse me. And she actually really helped with that, and that was really cool. So look it up. But yeah, I think Skype has better name recognition. So for calling in, you have more people that have Skype than Google Hangouts. I can tell you that. I know for a fact more people have Skype than Google Hangouts. Skype has better name recognition and all that. So for call-ins, it's better for Skype. As far as for that's for call-ins. For just doing a regular podcast with your buddies, Google Hangouts is so much better. And if you have any more questions about it, I can tell you why. But there are a lot of things that Google Hangouts can do that Skype just can't. So somebody wants to know my favorite wrestler of all time. Favorite wrestler of all time. I loved Austin back in the day. I think that glass shattering is pretty iconic. I don't think there's anybody that really, when you hear it, the only person I can think of that has a theme song that when it hits you know it's time to go nuts is Shawn Michaels with the Shawn, that one. The glass shattering from Austin is probably an iconic thing. And the only one I think about Shawn Michaels has it, and Hulk Hogan with I mean, those guys. I mean, those couple guys. They have iconic theme song. Like as soon as you hear the first, the first bar of it, you know who it is. So Austin would definitely be up there. CM Punk the last 10 years has been my main guy. Though I love Punk. I love his work. I like his promos. I like everything about him. The first guy before that I really really liked was Austin, and before that. I think everybody can agree. Everybody probably loved Hogan. Jake the Snake was a lot of fun. I always liked him. He really was a great worker in the ring. Really knew how to think. I like Ted DiBiase. He might be one of the best mouthpieces. I think Ted DiBiase, to tell you the truth, was one of the best. Was when they teamed him with Austin and when he had the $1 Million Corporation. I think that was one of the best storyline times ever in WWE personally. The $1 Million Corporation with Tatanka, Lex Luger, and all that before the whole Monday Night Wars thing started. The show was great at that point. A lot of people don't realize that was like one of the best times in wrestling. Diesel, Kevin Nash, Razor Ramon, all those guys before the whole Monday Night Wars. I loved wrestling then. That was, I think, one of the golden ages personally. I would definitely have to say probably Punk, Austin, Hogan, probably my three favorites over the course of the years anyway. So somebody wants to know, what bands do you normally work on HF? That's a ham radio question. I know a lot of guys that listen to the show are big ham radio guys. I haven't really been talking about ham radio that much. Ever since we moved, I haven't really had an enormous amount of time to dig my rig out and hook everything up and get my antennas. Now that we live in town here, we don't have as much yard space as we used to have. Now I'm not complaining. I like the new house, but we don't have the space we used to, so I got to get some antennas back up here and get back into bands. But I like 40 because 40 comes in really well here because we got a pretty high level above sea level here. I really like working 80. 20 is fun. I like 10, but I hardly ever get anybody on 10. So, but I would say probably 40, 80, 20 are probably my favorite bands to work. 15's a lot of fun too sometimes, depending on the weather conditions and all that. But those are the bands I really like as far as what I work on a lot anyway. Or I did. I got to get my rig out and get working again. I haven't been on the radio in a while. I got to get back on there. So somebody asked, what bands are on your iPod? That's actually a really cool question, especially since Steve Jobs always said you could tell everything about a person by what bands they had on their iPod. Well, I mean, obviously Creed is on there. I was a huge Creed fan growing up as a kid. Definitely had Fuel's on there. Live is on there. Obviously, a lot of the PA bands. Manson definitely be on there. He's one of my favorites. Alter Bridge is on there. I really like those guys. They're one of the best bands of all time. I think they've got a great sound. Audio Slave, Soundgarden, Nirvana, Metallica, just to name a few. I'm trying to think of the thing. I'm pulling out my Fozzie's on there. I just saw Fozzy on there. Hailstorm's on there now. Trying to think if there's any other, GNR's on there. Obviously some classic rock, Bon Jovi, some classic 80s stuff here. Slash, obviously. His first solo album was incredible. I love that. Trying to think who else I got. Let me just scroll through my list here. There's two made a name. Shinedown, obviously. Blackstone Cherry. Just to name a few, just name a few bands that are on. I got so much music on here. I've got tons of playlists with 400 or 500 songs. Disturbed, obviously, Godsmack. They're definitely a top 5 of bands I listen to a lot. Avenged Sevenfold's on here. I'm not a big Slayer fan. I've got one Slayer song on here. Anthrax, I've got a couple of their songs on here. Those aren't really my favorites, but they're on my iPod. I'm trying to think what else. Let me just scrolling through here. So many different bands I like. It's hard to even name them all. Bullet for My Valentine, I really like a lot of their stuff. They really remind me of really heavy metal type of stuff. They're on here. Just to name a few. Too many to name, really, but yeah. Scott Staff's, even his solo album wasn't too bad. I got that on here. Speaking of that, the next question that I lined up after that is: do you remember Spotify or do you recommend Spotify or Apple Music? Well, I have Spotify. I love Spotify. I was one of the first guys to jump on there. I like the way Spotify integrates with Facebook. It integrates with the Amazon Echo. It's on your iPhone. It can be used on your desktop. Spotify pretty much works with every single platform out there, which I like. Which Apple's trying to keep their closed platform, by Apple for Apple. Obviously price, they're both the same price. And then I'm not going to lie, Apple's whole thing of, works by us, for us. I can understand why they're doing that, but not making an Apple Music thing for their Android is going to hurt them. I think in the long run anyway, but I don't know, but Spotify works on every platform, which is why I like it. Now, the only thing is Spotify radio does kind of stink. So I usually listen to Pandora for radio, but anytime I want to grab an MP3, I always use Spotify. Apple Music is really good, but and they've got good music too, by the way. But I just don't like the service. I don't like the fact that I'm always tied into, I don't like the fact that I can't use Apple Music on my Amazon Echo. I can't use it on my Roku. I can't, there's a lot of things that Apple Music doesn't work on yet, where Spotify works on all platforms. So, that's why I like it. So, I'm a big Spotify person. And like I said, I like Pandora for the radio. Apple Music is kind of like everything all in one. But the problem is, I think it's on too many different. I don't think they're on enough different platforms yet. So the next question somebody asked on my list of questions here is, what mixer do you recommend for music? I mean, I use a Behringer mixer when I'm at home for the podcast, and that works really, really well for me. The Behringer mixer works really, really well for the podcast. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great purchase for a podcaster for $50. For when I record my music, though, I definitely am going to use... I use my Mackie mixer. I think Mackie is pretty much the Cadillac of mixing boards, personally. I really like to use Mackie, but, Mackie can be pricey. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to be your cheapest option. But I definitely like Mackie for my music. I think it's better quality. Now, Behringer is a good brand. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, hey, I've recorded quite a few podcasts on it so far, and I really enjoyed it. And I think it's a really great mixing board. I love it. But I think I think the Mackie is definitely a better mixer, and I think it's got better quality and stuff like that. That's just my personal opinion. If you disagree, let me know. But again, arguing about what mixer is best is kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, So somebody asked me, because I know you talk about classic radio a lot, who would be your favorite radio announcer? Oh man, that's a hard one. And trying to think. Well, I would definitely say, I mean, as far as classic radio guys, I'm always, I gotta go. You gotta go back to the original guys. Cousin Brucey's phenomenal. Those guys are great. Dick Clark is a legend. I think he was anyway. Well, he's still a legend, even though he passed away. You definitely have your Howard Stern. He was phenomenal first time. Imus was always a lot of fun to listen to. I'm trying to think of other guys. I loved Opie and Anthony. My opinion, one of the greatest radio talk show hosts ever. Was definitely Art Bell. He's definitely a legend. If I had a rate, I mean, you have to realize too. These guys are great for the platform they were on. Art Bell's on late at night. He was great for that time. Howard Stern was great for his time slot. Opie and Anthony were great for their time slot. So, these guys were all great in their time slots. Now, could you take an Opie and Anthony and put them on late at night? I don't think it would have worked. But for those, they were when they first started anyway. But, for those guys, they were great. But I would say classic, as far as guys that spun music, definitely got to go with Brucey. He was a legend. And the hits just keep on coming. He's a legend. Dick Clark, obviously a great radio personality. Definitely have to go with, Stern on Imus. Those guys were great for their time. As far as, Opie and Anthony, they were great in their time. I actually do like Nikki Sixx. He actually does a pretty good radio show, too. I'm really impressed with him. I'd rate him up there at one of the good ones, too. But, yeah, I do like the old school radio personality guys. They were really great. They don't have great radio like that anymore. They just don't. So somebody asked me, what would you recommend for a Wi-Fi hotspot? It really depends on your carrier. I mean, if you have AT&T, Verizon, they all have good hotspots you can buy. What you may want to do is, and I'm not sure what your situation is, but instead of buying just a hotspot itself, you can actually get an app on your phone for your Android where you can actually go ahead and have a hotspot. That works really, really well. And it's cheaper. You don't so you're not paying for a hotspot every month. This way you're just using your phone as a hotspot when you need it. That's probably your cheaper bet if you have Android. Or you can always call in to Verizon or AT&T and get them to activate the hotspot on your iPhone. This way you're not spending money every single month for a hotspot. This way, because that's what I do on my iPhone, is just a hotspot when I need it. Rather than having to carry around an extra device with me, because I carry enough hardware with me as it is. Now, this way when I need it, I just turn it on. That's just what I would do anyway. That's what I do, and I think it works really well. It saves you that extra monthly fee and all that, so that's what I do. Somebody asked me what bow do I actually use for hunting. For hunting, I use a PSE. I'm not a big Hoyt guy. I like PSE. They're light. They got a good throw on them. They got a good pull on them. They last. I like the arrows that you can get and all that kind of stuff from PSE and all that. I'm a big PSE guy as far as for bow hunting. I use my bow all the time to go, big game hunting, bear hunting, rabbit hunting. I use it a lot, and I probably use that. I probably use that thing probably more in the season than most people probably use it in 3-4 seasons. So I would say definitely go with a PSE. If you're gonna go buy a bow, make sure you get it brand new. Never buy used bows. Used bows are just garbage. Make sure you buy a new one. Make sure you get it set up for you and all that. They are really designed for you individually, so they're very personalized. So go with that and make sure you get it. Go to an archery shop if you have one locally. Don't go to Dick's or anything like that. Go to your local archery shop, and those guys can hook you all up. But yeah, I use my bow probably more than anything. I don't gun hunt. I only bow hunt, and I love my PSE bow, and I wouldn't use anything else. So go with the PSE bow. You'll really enjoy it. I know I love mine. You won't be sorry. And they're not, the price wise, mine was, my first bow was relatively mid-range. It was like $400, where Hoyt sometimes could be a lot more money. And Hoyt is really a lot heavier than PSE. PSE is very light, short throw, and that's what you want. So somebody asked me, why is Nightwing your favorite comic book character? Well, I really like Nightwing because I always liked him because he never had all the expensive toys that Bruce did, but he definitely he was trained as well as Bruce was, obviously because Bruce trained him. But I really liked him, so he was really good. I liked his attitude. He wasn't as dark as Batman was, so that was a lot of fun. He had a good look. He had a cool look to him. He was always shredded and all that kind of stuff. The other thing too, with Nightwing, he had he was a naturally gifted athlete, and I really felt that he could really compete with Bruce. I felt he was probably one of the only Robins that could definitely go toe to toe with Bruce. And the other thing was too, he was maybe the great detective that Batman was, but Bruce was. But he definitely, if him and Bruce were going head to head, he could hold his own with Bruce. And there's not many Robins that could. Jason Todd probably could. But, that was about it. So, I definitely always felt that Bruce can go toe-to-toe with him. And I always felt that he was a worthy adversary for Batman. That's why I always liked him. He had a cool look, too. I liked him. He wasn't as dark as Batman was either. He was a lot of fun. So, somebody asked, what is your day-to-day PC? I kind of already answered this, but I'll get into it again. Right now I'm running a Mac. Right now I'm running, I don't want to say I retired my Mac because I use my Mac. I have a Mac. I have an iMac that I use probably every day. I use it to record the podcast a lot. I use my Surface mostly, my Microsoft Surface. I have a Surface 3 that I use every day for my business. I really like that. And then I had a MacBook as well. That was my machine for like 3, 4, 5 years. And before that, it was another MacBook. So MacBooks were pretty much my main computer for the longest time, and I ran Windows virtually on them. And but I used the Surface Pro for the longest time. That was like my. I'm using a Surface Pro now for a while. I've had a Surface for about a year now, and that's really working for me. But before that, it was my MacBook. My MacBook was my main computer. I used it every day. I still use it a lot, but I still have it. But I used the. The thing is, I have a lot of people that run Windows, so I have to run a Windows machine. So I've been running a Surface, and then but I still have my MacBook. I still use my iMac a lot. But yeah, the Surface is kind of my Surface is kind of my main computer that I use every day for my business. I do use my iMac a lot at my house. That's like my computer I use for my recording of my podcast, and that I use for when I'm recording music or doing writing for my next book, stuff like that. And I do fire up my MacBook a lot. If I want to sit and relax, I'll fire up the MacBook and use it. The Surface kind of stays in my backpack, and I use it pretty much just for business. So, but I would say that probably is my day-to-day computer because I do use it more than the others. Somebody asked, I have a business. Do you think I could go open office to save money? I mean, if you already have web hosting and email hosting, I don't understand. I mean, you probably could just go, if you already have, email hosting and web hosting already, you probably could just go open office with Firefox. But it depends on what type of business you're in. Now, in my line of work, I use Office 365 almost every day. Because I share a lot of files with clients, I do a lot of neat stuff, and I use OneNote a lot. I use Excel a lot. So for me, I really need the full Office 365 package. Now, for you, if you're just opening up a couple Word documents every day, Open Office probably be fine for you. I know a lot of companies. That basically they need word processing. I load Open Office on their machine, and they never bother me ever again. I know a lot of people that have Macs that just use Microsoft, that just use Macs, and they're fine. So if you have a Mac, obviously you're free to free word processing with it. Obviously, you can download off the App Store, or you can use Open Office. It's really whatever you feel comfortable with. But if you're going to be running a full-blown business, that you're going to be doing a lot of email and you're going to be doing a lot of word processing, a lot of Excel stuff. If you need PowerPoint. You're going to have to go with Office 365. I got to tell you, I know a lot of people with Office 365, and I know a lot of people that use Google Google Docs, but I don't know a whole lot of people that run Open Office. I mean, for a lot of the home users that we have that are customers, I do use Open Office on their computer, and they're fine with it, and that's everything they need. But if you're running a business, you're probably going to want the full 365 package for $100 a year. And plus, you get the support with it, which you won't get with Open Office. So, I mean, like I said, I would say if it's just a business, you only need to open a few documents, a week or a year. Or if you just need once in a while to type a letter, Open Office will be fine for you. But it depends. If you need Excel and all that, you're probably going to be better suited to go with 365. That's just my personal opinion. Google Docs is pretty good too, but if you're going to spend that kind of money, you might as well get full-blown Word and Excel. That's just my personal feeling anyway. Somebody asked, I want to start a podcast. Should I buy Pro Tools? For those of you that don't know, Pro Tools is pretty much a much higher end version of GarageBand and Audacity. I tell you, I don't. If you're recording just doing a basic podcast, Audacity on a Windows box should be fine for you. If you're actually going to go, and do a full blown podcast. With a lot of different stuff on it, you may want to think about buying maybe the Pro version of Audacity. But Pro Tools is really expensive. Pro Tools is really designed for a musician. I don't know if you're actually going to really need full-blown Pro Tools. Pro Tools is pretty intense for a person with that's just going to be recording a podcast. Audacity should be fine for you. If you have a Mac, if you have an older Mac, GarageBand comes with it. If not, you can download it for $5 off of I think it's $5 or $8 off of the App Store now, off of the App Store from Apple. Which $8 is a lot better. If you look at how much Pro Tools is going to cost you, Pro Tools is going to set you back a couple $100. I think they do have a cheaper version now too, but it's still going to set you back, I think, $150. So, like I said, you can go with GarageBand if you have a Mac, or if you have a Linux box, you can go with Audacity. Like I said, either way, Audacity should be fine if you just record a basic podcast. I don't think you need, unless you really want to get serious to podcasting, then go ahead, man, buy it. It's your money, not mine. But it depends what you want to do. If you do want to do, I know a couple of my buddies want to really get into doing pro editing for, not podcasts, but for musicians, and GarageBand's just too limited for them. They had to go with the full-blown Pro Tools, but it's going to be an investment for you. So what I recommend is try Audacity, or if you have a Mac, maybe buy, a newer Mac or an older Mac, get a copy of GarageBand and work with it. learn about podcasting, learn how to do it, learn about your audio quality and stuff like that. And then after that, if you want to go ahead and chill out for Pro Tools, go for it. I'm curious to see how you make out with that, so let me know. I'd really like to know. I've only messed with Pro Tools a little bit. I've really usually GarageBand mostly. But, hey, if you got a copy of Pro Tools and you're doing good with it, let me know what you're doing. I'd be curious to find out. I think we'd all like to know. So somebody wanted to know, they want to be a lead singer of a band, and they wanted to know if there was a good software for vocal training. It's kind of interesting. We've got a lot of, I sent out a tweet to ask for you guys to send me in questions, and a lot of them were actually about music. So I know a lot of you guys really enjoy me going on about the bands I listen to and the music and the apps I use for music and my guitars and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool, guys. You guys were really interested in that. So it's kind of cool to know the kind of audience we have. That's really awesome. Vocal training. I'm sure there's an app out there. I know if you guys watch Shark Tank, there's an app out there to teach you how to play guitar. And I'm sure there's an app out there for vocal training. I'm positive. But I got to tell you, maybe it's just because I'm old school, but if you really want to learn vocal training, I know tech is great and all that, but if you really want to learn vocal training, go to a local music shop or, get a hold of somebody online and find out where you can get voice lessons from. Those guys usually charge you like $20 for like a half hour, 45-minute class. You really should work with somebody yes, tech is great, but you really should work with somebody that can really coach you. Vocal coaching is something that you really need to take seriously if you're going to be doing it, because if you don't do it right, you could really hurt your throat and your voice and even cause maybe some permanent damage. I know myself, when I was really, really into music, I was watching, I got a book, GarageBand book, learning how to do GarageBand stuff. I had taken some vocal lessons. I was learning, like I said, I was learning how to do music editing. I was taking some vocal lessons. I was brushing up on some guitar stuff and brushing up on my drum lessons and stuff like that. But, like I said, if you're really serious about this vocal training thing, I would really, before you look into tech, I would really suggest that you go ahead and take some time and look into vocal training. And I'm not saying you have to spend a lot of money, but get somebody, that may charge you $20 a class, and do that, because if you really, if you really, you got to be careful with that throat, because if you strain, or you can really injure your vocal cords and could probably maybe even get some permanent damage. So warming up your vocal cords properly, taking care of your throat, knowing what to drink, what to eat before you sing, and all that kind of stuff is very, very important. And you're not going to really get that from an app. So I really recommend you actually take time and really go and get some professional, vocal training. It really will be beneficial to you and much, much safer in the long run. If you have any questions about that, let me know. Shoot me an email or Twitter. Shoot me a thing on my Twitter. Shoot me a thing on my Tweety. Shoot me a message on Twitter, or go ahead and email me, and I'll talk to you more about that. Because like I said, I have taken some vocal lessons as well, and maybe I can give you some suggestions. And also too, you may want to find somebody perhaps that maybe if you barter with somebody, hey, if you know how to play keyboard and they're trying to learn how to play keyboard, you can say, hey, if you know a lot about vocal lessons, teach me vocal lessons and I'll teach you keyboard or something. So and also too, that's what I would do. As much as I love tech, I would say you really got to go with a professional vocal coach, or somebody at least that knows more about it. This way to protect that throat. Last thing you want to do is to get end up with a knot in your throat or something like that. So somebody asked me an interesting question, and I don't know how to answer. Somebody asked me, what hard drive RAID should I use on my PC? Well, that really depends. So if you don't care about, if you're running a gaming PC and basically you care about speed, you're going to want to run a RAID 0, because that's going to be your fastest hard drive configuration, because you're going to be multi-striping. And, there's no data protection on RAID 0. So you're going to be running... RAID 0 will that you definitely won't have any hard drive lag. Now, I've set up gaming PCs before for people. So if you run RAID 0, what happens is both PCs are striping, and they're both using their own separate stripes. So what actually happens is you actually end up not getting that hard drive lag when you play your games. Now, if you're running a gaming PC, that's what you want to do. Now, if you want to run a gaming PC and you want to have some sort of redundancy, you're going to want 0 plus 1. Okay, 1 is mirroring, where both hard drives mirror each other. If you're going to be running a RAID where you're going to have more than 2 hard drives, like if you're going to make it like a storage server for your videos or something like that, you're going to want to run like a RAID 5. which is going to be, you're going to need at least 3 hard drives for that, at least 3, if not more. Because the more hard drive you add, the more space you'll get. Now, with a RAID 0 or RAID 1, you have 500 gig hard drive, you just need 2 500 gig hard drives. Now, if you're running like a RAID 5, you're going to need more than 2 hard drives. And you're not going to, if you want 500 gigs of storage, you're going to need at least 3 500 gigs to 4 500 gig hard drives because of just the way RAID works. With 5, you have to keep, since it stripes the data across multiple drives, you're going to need at least 3 to even 4 hard drives to make that RAID run properly. But it all depends on what you're trying to do. But like I say, gaming computer, definitely be at RAID 0. If you're running a gaming PC that you're really worried about your stuff, 0+1. If you want hard drive setup where you're not really worried about speed, just worried about redundancy, just run 1 then. Don't run 0+1, just run 1. And if you're trying to run like a storage server or something like that, you're going to need to go with like a RAID 5 or even a RAID 6 where you're going to need 5 drives. So those are the only suggestions I could really make as far as, hard drives go and how to set up a hard drive stuff. So I am pretty much out of questions. So, that wasn't such a bad, it was like kind of like a Q&A kind of show, right, I guess? Kind of. You guys asked me questions and me just, giving you my answers. Hey, guys, I appreciate all the questions, by the way. Like I said, if you have any questions, send it to me. I know I don't do the questions every single show, but I used to, but I haven't been. Because I like to wait until I get a bunch of them and then I can use them for a show like this. So, if you have any questions, send it to me. I may not answer them right away, but I do my best to try to answer them, when I have a couple of them. So, or a bunch of them, I should say, for a show like this, especially since I've been on the road a lot. It was great to have these questions because it allowed me to really get a podcast together for you guys that I felt was kind of entertaining for the most part compared to, what I could have done. So I appreciate that. So like I said, I hope to hopefully get to be live next week. Like I said, we just got so much going on right now and so many projects going on with the book and out-of-state projects that I'm working on my business and stuff like that. Got to pay those gimmicks today. They sent in the mail called bills for Jesse and Randy that are listening. They know what I'm talking about. Because I live on 316 Gimmick Street. Joking around about the Stone Cold podcast. I really like that guy's show. If you guys ever listen to the Stone Cold podcast, he like I said last podcast, you don't really learn a lot in his show, but it's incredibly entertaining, and that's what all this is about. Providing education and entertainment. So I want to thank everybody for listening. We hope to be live next week. As always, you can catch all of our episodes on thetechnologygeek.org, or you can go to podcast.thetechnologygeek.org, and as well as follow me on Twitter, KB3YUA, and on Facebook. I want to thank everybody for listening, and we will see you next week. Thank you very much.